Well, hello, you. Welcome to Sacred Comedy. I am your host, Jennifer Wai, and I am so happy that you are here. Today's episode welcomes back former guest and dear friend of Sacred Comedy, comedian Devon Hall. This is the podcast version of a nearly 3-hour conversation between friends who just haven't connected in a while. Our schedules and our lives have changed over this last year, and we just haven't been able to hang or talk like we used to. Devon was my co-producer for a couple of months last spring, and if you're following us on TikTok, you may have seen our attempt at sacred sketch comedy. I hate that I don't get to see Devon every day anymore, but I love that he is doing so well. He's absolutely killing it out there, and I know how hard he works. Devon gives us an update on what's been going on in his life since his astrology reading with Elise back on episode number 4. We get a little metaphysical. We talk about Mercury in Retrograde, what makes a great comedy show, and finding compassion towards the DMV. And perhaps most important, Devon shares where he is on his journey towards being a better gay. So start folding that laundry or getting your steps in, because you're about to come hang out with us.
This is crackers and chips time. This is cheese and crackers time.
It is perfect time for cheese and crackers.
With my gal pal.
Yeah, I know. And thank you for coming on the podcast. And I was so excited just to like check in with you because, and I'm like, why not just make this an episode for other people to watch as well? Filling in the weekly jug of water.
So our Brita bro. So I've been buying water like in these jugs.
Oh shit.
Like it's two kinds of people have this: poor people and people that like hate fat people. You know? Like when I hold this, like I want to like, you know, I want like a tattoo that says like rise and grind on my forehead. I want to wipe my face when I'm sweating with the bottom part of my shirt. Like I don't have shame about my body.
I don't know. I probably won't leave this in because whatever.
What is the DMV like around here? I imagine like a nightmare. Like
I went
it's so populated.
I went to the one in Bayonne, and I was hyper vigilant about the packet that I took with me because there's a new kind of license that you're supposed to get in New Jersey, and like everyone's going to be getting it in like 2025. It's called like Real ID, and you need like 6 points of identification, and then they're like, yeah, and another 2 and another 1, and it's like the information is very confusing.
You get your real ID? Are you a real person?
I'm gonna get a real ID, but it's just that like I'm keeping it real. I don't know what it's for. But it's probably for government surveillance.
I think it's for, yeah, it is, but for like flying.
Yeah, it's gonna be something different. Both of my IDs like expire this year. Anyway, it was Bayonne. It was kind of like I recommend to everybody, just go on your state's DMV website. Make sure you read everything. Make an appointment online.
Yeah, because they are not nice.
Fill out the form.
You show up with the wrong shit, they are not cool.
They're not nice. And it's kind of weird because it's like we live in this world where like people don't have compassion for other people, maybe not having the same experience that they have. So like when you work at the DMV, it's like obvious what you need to do, but it's like, yeah, but like no one else works there. Like the people who don't work there,
for them,
you need to have compassion for people who aren't like straight on the information. You have to learn how to talk to people so that they're not.
Well, they're like the DMV is like a particular, like a DMV or like a cashier at like a department store, but to a lesser extent, like any job where you're dealing with like the entirety of the public, like every single person in New Jersey needs to go to the DMV. So you're dealing with literally people that like are medically not supposed to be outside. Like you have to do like, I can just empathize with
diagnosis, stay inside.
Let me put it this
forever.
way. Have you ever been at like my version of this is like, there's a fried chicken place around the corner from it, where it's the only place open after, let's say, like 3 a.m. So when I'm high, I want to go get fried chicken. And there's people in there, and this is just about getting food, screaming at the top of their lungs. Just what they want. Nothing's even wrong yet. They're just like, fucking, and then put fries in there, you shithead. Like, Imagine having to explain to that person that they need 6 points of ID. Like it's probably a whole nightmare. Like I get,
True.
they're like doctors, where you know how doctors have to be like calloused against human suffering. So does the DMV. Like they have to just ignore mental anguish.
It's true. It's true. I think what I'm kind of reminding myself as I am now in that position of serving the public or the vegan public at least
Oh yeah, how's that
is
go?
sort of it's great. It's fun, but it's also like it's definitely like I'm very anxious leading up to the days that I have to work. And
Do
then
you
when
have you snapped at anybody yet?
no, but I've been meanish. I've been less nice. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, gotcha.
I've been very like firm and then just staring and then just pausing, you know?
Well,
But
because at a
it's
vegan
not
cafe,
mean.
you're dealing with like the ditziest, most entitled white women on earth. Like you're dealing.
It's yeah, it actually hasn't been the white women.
Oh, really? You've been
I
dealing
mean,
with the
maybe it's
entitled
because
Mexican ladies?
I think it's also because I'm the white woman. And Alan's always saying, he's like, yeah, because I'm like, I get a lot of tips. He's like, yeah, people always tip white people. And I'm like,
Really?
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It might be, it might have it could have something to do with it. I mean, I compare notes with the other woman who I work with, who's not white. So it's definitely we kind of joke about it.
Does
It
she
is
get
a little.
shittier tips? That's funny. There's like a wage gap in
There,
tips
yeah,
between.
maybe it might be. I mean, I don't know. I think people also could feel sorry for me.
Well, obviously.
That could be one.
No, I don't-
And then, but I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Like, go ahead.
Mhm.
Thanks. I just paid for my parking downtown Jersey City.
Oh yeah, what a nightmare.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a nightmare. I wish there was some kind of program where if you actually were employed in the downtown area, you could. I mean, maybe there is a
There
policy.
might
I
be
don't
because I'm
even
looking
know.
for a parking permit right
Get
now
like
because
a
I'm trying to get
permit.
my.
Yeah. Oh, it's
There
so
are
annoying.
parking permits and they're only like $15 a year. You just have to.
Yeah.
You need to
Go wait
prove
at
to
the
me.
DMV.
You have to go to the DMV. You do, and for me, I have to prove my license and my red card needs to be registered to my Jersey City address to
Mm.
qualify for the thing.
What if the car is not
Yeah.
in my name? I love how wow, this is like how many minutes that I'm
This has
probably
nothing to do with
this is
sacred anything.
nothing to do. I might
This is
cut all
literally
this
just us
out.
catching
I
up.
know this really is just us catching up.
Um,
Welcome to the Sacred Comedy Podcast, Devon Hall.
okay.
Oh hey. Oh hey. Hey everybody. We've actually been talking for the last half hour, just catching up. And I'm gonna spare
Unusable
everybody.
horseshit.
Yeah, totally unusable. I'm gonna spare everybody all of
Mhm.
the stuff. Devon, however, what I don't want to spare everybody is that Devon is indulging in some beautiful cheese and crackers.
I've really ripped through these cheese and crackers. I gotta tell you something. This I'm like, I started off with a decent. I've been really focusing on the crackers. I've not gotten much cheese into me. It's been more just munching on the crackers, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited about it.
You're not a cheese fan?
It's not that I'm not a cheese fan. It's just like logistically, as I'm talking to you, reaching over with my little mitts and just getting a cracker in my hand is just like way easier.
Well, you can ask me a question and I'll just start talking for like
No,
a
no, no.
full
I'm aware that
hour.
I'm
And then you
listen.
can eat while I
I feel like I've been
expound.
doing that. Like I know the rhythm of how we talk. I'm aware of that. Yeah.
You're aware. You're aware. It's a tennis match, except I'm gonna be holding the
I know
ball for
you.
a sec. I'm gonna be like bouncing it while I talk.
Mhm.
You had your reading
Yeah.
with Elise. So how how has it changed your life? How is it how is it integrated into
Oh,
your
I don't know.
experience? Because
I don't know
I
that it
feel
left.
like your life looks so different than it did, or maybe your work life looks very different than it did back in December. What's been going on with you?
Maybe. I don't know. I just feel like I'm doing more of what I was doing then. So like I'm editing is picked up. I'm doing a lot more of that. A lot more I've been getting a lot more gigs. Like I've been doing a lot more stand-up, which is good. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't know. I've just been like doing my bullshit. Like I just kind of like trying to get up as much as possible, trying to do gigs, trying to like turn this into like a thing where like it's starting to be where like not quite, but like there's months where it's like, oh, comedy's almost kind of paying some rent here. Like we're kind of moving in that direction, which is good. Not like as like a general rule, but it's starting. There's things happening. Um, But yeah, other than that, I don't know, like my normal fucking dumb thing where like my room is dirty and I need to clean it up and I fucking should do more push-ups than I do. Like, I don't know, my same bullshit.
Yeah,
Nothing really.
that
I feel like I
tracks.
have kind of the same life, like ups and downs, but like same trying to be a comedian and then that's going mediocrely.
Yeah. Well, it looks like it's going pretty well. I mean, the clips that you're putting up are pretty funny.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's a lot of credit to the club I work at called the Dojo in Morris Plains.
Yeah.
That's he's been giving me a lot of work, and then that place is such a good room that yeah, I like have been able to set up my. That's just like a clip factory.
Yeah.
Like I set up my camera, and it's just like butter. Can I tell you? I just did with Alex Grubart. I've been doing a lot more dates with Alex Grubart too. Like we just did Weeding at the Stoned in Philly, and we did Helium.
That's
And
right.
Helium was one of the rooms like on my bucket list that I wanted to try. Helium Comedy Club in Philly. That's like top 10 clubs in the country. That
Yeah.
was a lot of fun. That was like other like I'm when I'm doing a lot of these rooms, like I noticed there's like levels of so there's like shitty like bar show, open mic, like terrible. Like I did a thing last night at this bar called I think like Pino's in Highland Park. And it's like this in a room that's probably 300 yards long and there's people throughout it and you're doing comedy right by the door and so you're just trying to get the attention of people that are like literally a quarter mile away, so like there's that level room which is like ugh.
Yeah.
And then there's like level above that which is like one of these like brewery gigs or like a bar show or whatever, and then you get into like I don't know, kind of like one of the more independent shows where you get like a separated room in a bar, and then there's
Mhm.
clubs, and then there's A clubs. And I've been getting the opportunity to do more A clubs, and God, does it make me resent every other thing I do?
Whoa.
Just because it's so much.
Okay.
When you see the difference, like
Yeah.
it's insane. Just
What's
how
the
much better
difference?
it is. It's just like I don't know. Everyone's the setup is perfect where it's like wide and you can see everybody. Everybody can see you as long as you're not like terrible at comedy. You have everybody's attention, and it just
Mhm.
makes it's just better. It's just so much
Yeah.
better.
So places that really focus on comedy
Yeah,
as
like it
opposed to
makes
like
sense. The
an
comedy club.
afterthought. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Some rooms are set up for it. Some rooms are.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And I've been getting the opportunity to do more rooms that are set up for it, and I enjoy it.
Yeah. Do you think it's it because of would you say it's because of the physical setup or just because people are going in there with one solid expectation and like
I
not,
think both. So I think that there's something. A room can be good or bad. If a room has high ceilings and is super long, it can only. It's just not. It's set up bad.
yeah.
Um, there's little shit like if everybody can't see you, like if there's obstacles and shit.
Yeah.
And then so the physical setup of the room is important. And then the maybe there's something to be said about like a vibe. There's just a
Mhm.
certain vibe. It's almost like I feel like there's like certain places.
You're
Like I would say
not
about the
obligated to talk about vibes, by the way, just because you're on
no, but
sacred
I think
comedy.
I think so. Like I think there's
Yeah.
something intangible about like when I walk into the dojo, I'm like, this place has good vibes. Like everyone here wants this to be good. These are good people. This is good, good energy or whatever you get. This is where we get into like your territory. Like there's some, I don't know, whatever
Yeah.
mother guy is pissed on it, like whatever it is. But it's good. Like whatever, there's the vibes there are good.
That's awesome. Yeah.
No, I don't
That's
know.
interesting. Yeah, no, I'm yeah, and I'm trying to think like from a I guess from an audience member like what that feels like,
I
which
think
ones
that
are
there's a difference when you're in the audience. An audience member might not pick up on it beyond just like how the performer. So like I've noticed a really big difference. The biggest difference in comedy is whether or not someone looks comfortable or not. There's like
mm,
people that whose their presence draws your attention to them, and there's people that aren't. And
mm,
I think that's the ease of the performer. So like if
yeah.
you're comfortable, you could be not getting laughs, but people are listening to you,
Hmm.
or you could be screaming but
Yeah.
uncomfortable and everybody's tuning you out.
Interesting.
So from an audience perspective, I think there's something to be said. Like you might not know like all the factors at play, but
Yeah.
you know whether or not you're paying attention to the guy on stage. Like there's something
Yeah.
about the situation that Either you are listening or you're not.
Yeah, I feel like the best way I always think about it is like, does this person command my attention?
Mhm.
Like, do they command the attention of the room? And that's definitely not always the case. Yeah.
And then it just gets into how easy is it? How easy is it in the setting to command attention?
It's so funny because I'm thinking about that totally in terms of like men and women, how men and women communicate differently.
Mhm.
And and I'm in my head, I'm just wondering, I'm like, is it the women who are like louder and more commanding? Are they more successful in comedy because of the nature of how like a man would speak with authority and
Well, I think it's comfort. Like again, like I would go back to like there. So
yeah.
like the kind of woman, like this more masculine, commanding whatever woman that you're talking about, she is obviously more inclined to when she gets on stage to feel secure and like she belongs there because she's got more of a dominant personality.
Mm,
The stage fright, the inner dynamic, this is less of an obstacle to her. So it's easier for her to sink into comfort and command attention. But no, like I see very feminine. Like I wouldn't argue that like I don't think someone like take an example. Like I don't think Kate Nichols, who's a really funny comedian, is like
yeah.
particularly masculine, but she's comfy as shit. Like she's smooth, like she's butter up there. Like
Yeah.
she's up there and she's having a good time and she's doing her little mannerisms. She's zigging and zanging. She's got her
Yeah.
jokes she likes, and she draws you in. It's about no, yeah, it's not about. I think that like if you're gonna call the like if you're gonna label it masculinity and femininity, I
Mhm.
think that the masculine trait that is at play here is like security or comfort. Like you are present in yourself,
Mhm.
and I'm just gonna I keep saying the word
No,
comfortable, and I feel
no,
like an
no,
ass.
that
Like
works.
that's the
I think it works for both. So I think like because everybody, as you know, like I've said this before to you, everyone has feminine and masculine qualities. Like
Mhm.
that's just the nature of life. Everyone has both. Like everybody has both. Whether you're presenting in a female body or a masculine body or wanting to change that up, is
right.
different by the person. And I because I mean I was thinking about it like the conversations I've been having over the last couple of years, I guess. We think about for us, the feminine energy is about kind of like sitting back and receiving. And I've definitely seen, you can see male comics like this who aren't out there and like, like in your face and very like loud and escalated. They are more sort of like drawing you in.
Right.
You're kind of being drawn in. And maybe it just has to do with the energy that person in their more comfort or more confident state or more like at ease state depends on, just basically how they interact with other energies. Are they like dragging it towards them, or are they like going out reaching it and bringing it in, or are they kind of like sitting back and like allowing it to come to them? I don't
Yeah, you
know.
can think about it like gravity, where like they're creating like a vortex. There's a vacuum. They're creating a vacuum of sound, space, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
by just existing in their own self
Yeah.
comfortably. And
Yeah.
so it just naturally draws people. Like that's what perfect example I think is someone like Alex Nicholas. It's a very funny comedian.
Mm,
He's a little more. He's got great jokes, but he's not like super. He's not super boisterous. It's not like he's so loud and fucking
yeah.
whatever. He more just sits in himself. He's very calculated. You can see his mind working when he does it. He'll do like crowd work and stuff to get your attention, but it's always like at ease, like, oh, maybe you could try looking at me. And then they look at him and then it's like, yeah, isn't this way better? And then he can just go around the room. Like it's just, it's
Yeah.
smooth. It's like butter.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, but there's a lot of butter and cheese going on
Yeah.
here today.
Yeah. A lot of
Um,
cheese and butter and
a lot of
crackers.
cheese
It's
and
like cheese
butter.
on crackers. It's just better.
Except for when you're on a podcast and you don't want to like have to deal with the logistics of adding
Yeah, that's
cheese onto
true.
your cracker.
And now you have a
But
stomach ache from eating way too many cheese and crackers and
yeah,
drinking an entire large
I
at the grocery
was,
store Starbucks
what
coffee.
is that? That is, oh
So here's the
my,
thing. A medium coffee from Dunkin' is 5. This is 7. I just buy this. This is better. There's
oh
two
my,
at least. I'm not gonna drink all of this right now. I might, but I'm not. I shouldn't drink all of this right now.
don't,
But
please don't.
you know, It's like I've been drinking a lot of like, White Lady Red Bull Celsius. Have you come across that yet?
I was looking at it yesterday.
I've been
Yeah.
fucking mad heavy with Celsius, no cap. And I
Wait,
ran out of it.
that was very fast. Slow down for a second. Celsius, the white lady.
I called it the
What?
White Lady. I call it the White Lady Red Bull because it's like a
Oh,
new
okay, okay,
energy
okay.
drink.
The white lady Red Bull. Does that mean I should know it?
You would
I don't
like
know.
it's pre-workout. It was marketed originally as pre-workout, and then everybody just loves it. It's like become just an energy drink.
Okay.
So I've been starting my day with one of those, and I
What's
ran
in
out of.
it?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure like fucking meth and cancer and fucking
Probably cancer.
poor people's
Cancer and
bones. Like I don't
chemicals.
know,
Oh
like
my
some
God.
horrible fucking thing. I don't know, like horrible
The
shit.
tears.
Probably,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Whatever's
Interesting.
in fucking red, like I assume the same ingredients that are in Red Bull, but shitloads of caffeine. I can tell
Oh,
you. I have the little box
yeah,
here.
let's see. I'm curious.
Citric acid, taurine, mal- maltodextrin, guarana seed extract, green tea extract, caffeine, sucralose, calcium carbonate, absorbic acid, gum arabic,
Hmm,
um,
it's racist.
lunocacetone. Yeah, and just a bunch of other like natural flavors, root extract, just a bunch of long chemically sounding words.
It's like a mix between chemicals and like natural stuff. It sounds
Yeah,
like it's like just enough natural stuff to get the white women to buy it, just enough chemicals to make other people be
keep
like,
them
"Hey, it's
buying it.
pretty good."
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty funny.
Well, it does rule. But yeah,
Yeah.
so when I don't have one of those, we do full Starbucks family
Wow.
amount of coffee.
Yeah.
And I would pour this into a cup, but I don't. All my cups are in the sink, so I'm just drinking out of that.
Well, how's everything else going in life? I
Uh,
mean,
The same bad. I don't
same.
know. Like I've been you know that I'm terrible at being gay, but I've been trying to be better at it. So like what I've been doing is I've actually been doing like exposure therapy basically, where I've been going, the pint in Jersey City.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to pick up someone at a bar yet. It's all been Grinder and Tinder, whatever. But I
Yeah.
want to get better at it. So I've been treating it like open mics where I literally, so I've been twice so far. The first time I went, I walk in and I went to the back table because naturally, and I just sit down at this table and I watched a full college basketball game. And as you know, that's not like a thing. I've never before or since just watched college basketball. But I just stared at the TV. The game ended and I left. Second time I was like, all right, that's not so good. So I went to the bar and that was better positioning, but felt more uncomfortable because I'm just like sitting there on my phone at a bar.
Yeah.
Uh, so I've been twice so far, but I'm trying to go like once every week or two and just
Yeah.
get the data. I'm literally treating it like open mics. Where I'm like, I'm gonna bomb. This is fine. We're bad at this. We got to get better at it.
Do you have any plans to, okay, how about this? Do you want to be picked up or do you want to do the choosing?
Oh, I don't know. Like I've
Do
even
you want
thought
to
that.
be approached or like would you rather approach
Well,
somebody?
I mean, I think like everybody, like I think getting approached by someone you want to be approached by is good, but getting approached by someone you don't is bad.
Do you look at people in the eyes?
What? We can like make eye contact, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
sort of. I guess
I'm
not
just gonna
consciously.
say
Like
that
I'm not making an effort to look at everybody in the eyes.
I think I think that's one thing you could improve upon.
Look at people in the eyes.
Yeah. Like just look them in the eye. Just look them in the eye.
All right, word. I'll give that a shot.
I think that's got to be the third try.
Okay,
Just
I'll
think of
add to
it,
my list. Eye
but
contact.
listen,
I'm gonna make eye
listen.
contact with 4 people.
That's perfect. For people that you think are cute, like interesting or something about them that you're like drawn to. It could be whatever.
I've got a little stock line that I stole.
Oh
This is a
yeah.
roast joke someone said about me, but I'm like,
Okay.
that's hilarious. I'm going to steal it. Um, Whenever, because I've been now twice now. While I've been on stage, there's been a cute gay guy. The one time it was a bartender, the other time was just a guy in the audience. And I've just been, you see the way I dress. So I'm always like, whenever I go, I talk to them wherever I go. Any chance you're into guys who look like they're on their way to Planet Fitness? And that'll get me a laugh at least. But like, that's, I don't know. Yeah,
Wait,
this is new to me.
why is it because Planet Fitness is like,
Because I'm out of shape, but I'm wearing like I'm wearing like a hoodie and like I look literally, I look like I'm going to Planet Fitness right now.
I get it. We
See?
dress the same. Yeah, I get it. That's pretty funny. Any
Yeah.
chance you're in? Yeah, I think you should. And how did that work out?
Oh, nothing. Not that terrible. But at least I'm learning. You asked me how the rest of my life is going. That's what I've been up to. I've been trying to learn how to be gay.
Learn how to be gay. Do you have any gay mentors?
No, not really. Jesus is my gay mentor.
Jesus is your gay mentor.
No, I don't know.
I could be your gay mentor, even though I'm not. I think I am secretly a gay man. I think we've talked about this. That's how I identify. Yeah, I think eye contact is very strange for people these days, and I think it's definitely something I noticed was not a big thing in America or New York, living in the tri-state area. It was only until I went to another country where I lived and I realized I just like, I can't look at people in the eye. It was just like so nerve wracking, or, I'm just like, it's like scary to me. And then after living in France for a year, it was like when I came home, I was just kind of looking at other, like looking at everyone in the eye. And then after a couple of years, like I went back to kind of being the old way. But the truth is, all you really have to do is look someone in the eye, and you kind of have to be okay you have to be okay not them being like,
Yeah.
no.
That I gotta get over that. It's bombing. I have to do open mics. I gotta learn how to do it. Like I have to be willing to like it's gonna go really shitty, and then you gotta come back and try. All right, maybe I try this one. Like I'm treating it like, yeah, I'm aware that you have to be bad at it before you're good at it. Eye
Well,
contact
yeah.
I actually just eye contact is something that I've been trying to do on stage. Like we were talking about ways to make people listen to you. That's a
Yeah.
huge one. If you actually look eye contact person to person to person to person, and you're actually talking to them, like this
Oh,
guy
yeah.
and this guy, it makes them look at you.
Yeah, because they feel seen.
Yeah.
You're seeing them. And people want to feel seen. That's like a huge issue, I think, for a lot of people. That's like a result of trauma, being seen, being understood, being heard. I think we have
Maybe
like
not.
a big
I mean, if you
reliance on
want to
it.
be seen during a comedy show, you're probably a problem. Most people don't want that attention on them. Any normal person doesn't want
Yeah.
attention on them.
I feel differently about like concerts. And maybe that's just because I'm a girl.
You want people to look at you during a concert?
Yeah, you want the band to look at you.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, but like when you see comedy, you don't because they're worried they're gonna
Oh, I
get
don't know.
crowd worked, I think. And like it makes a lot of people nervous.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think that's that I hate. I hate crowd work on me. I would never want to be the victim of a crowd work attack. I just
Well, it
don't.
doesn't have to be an attack. That's
I
like
know. Yeah, I just I'm like, don't look at me. I'm just gonna get away with this by producing a comedy show. That's right. Yeah, now no one will pick on me in crowd
I
work.
got you.
That's perfect.
Oh, by the way, this is a complete pivot, but I have a question about whatever. So something, I don't know what was in like retrograde recently.
Oh yeah, Mercury was in retrograde.
What? And then I found out what retrograde means, which is that it looks like it's spinning backwards. What is actually happening? Like, why does it look like it's spinning backwards?
During Mercury in retrograde for me, it's a time period where I just kind of don't put too much pressure on myself, and I
That's what
really kind of slow
so when
down.
this was explained to me, you know Jeff at SIP? He's one of the like owners. He's like one of the
I think
he's not there often, but he's like
yeah.
one
I
of
know who you're
the
talking about. Yeah.
I worked for him a little bit. And he was pretty, I don't know, I was having like a rough couple days or whatever. And he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Nah, what? No." And he's like, "Is it?" And then he goes, "It might be because Mercury's in retrograde." And I was like, "All right, what the fuck does that mean?" And so, That's why I asked about this, because he explained this to me, but he didn't. I was curious about the actual science of like why it looks like it's, because apparently on a regular, like there's a set schedule
Oh
where
wait,
it
you're
looks like it's spinning
frozen.
backwards.
Yeah, so it's an optical illusion that occurs when the planet Mercury appears to move backwards in the sky. In reality, the Earth briefly overtakes Mercury in its orbit, creating a visual effect. So even
Okay,
if Mercury isn't really moving backwards, astrologers think the period has an effect on earthly life. Yeah. So, they always say things about like technology, communication getting disrupted. It can also put a damper on everyone's mood and increase negative emotions.
that's what he said. Yeah, he said that everyone kind of feels like
Grumpy.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you're forced to slow down or when you're forced to feel like a lag,
Hmm.
like against your will, it's like there's something almost gravitational to it. And on such a subtle level that very sensitive people are aware of this kind of stuff because this for example, this morning I woke up today, it's Station Direct, April 25th.
Station
And
direct.
Station Direct meaning it no longer is in retrograde. Mercury Station Direct, we're back on our regular orbits, blah blah blah,
Back on our bullshit.
back on
We're
our
back to
bullshit.
Mercury
And
bullshit.
I felt immediately a lightness this morning when I woke up because I always have, like, I guess I don't know that I have like a daily sort of practice, but for the most part, this is probably just so daily practice, I don't notice it anymore. But I
Mm.
usually just really check in with myself as soon as I'm awake. As soon as I feel myself awake, like, how am I feeling? How's my body feeling? How's my mind feeling? And I have to kind of tap into what's normal, what's not normal, why might it not be, why do I feel a little off? And a lot of times there's days I wake up and I'm just like, why is everything great? I'm like, why do I feel amazing?
Mm.
I've probably gained, like, I'm definitely heavier than I've been in a long time. I'm dealing with like perimenopause, but I don't know, something's happening where sometimes in the mornings I wake up and I'm just like, everything's fucking great. I don't know
That's
what.
dope.
It's
That's a
dope.
dope thing.
It really is. I mean, it's like there's a little bit of practice that goes into it, but I noticed today for sure once it went direct that I was like something is lifted. I feel something has lifted. There was a pressure before and now I feel like it's lifted off. And
Hmm.
then I remembered that it went direct. I'm like, "Yep, awesome. Perfect day to go to the DMV."
Oh shit! They cut out again.
Oh, oh, that's okay. Zoom, I pay enough for you, Zoom. This is like you need to be working. Bitch. Oh, there you go.
It could be. I mean, or I don't know. I'm seeing like red bars next to your. I'm not sure if it's my or your
Oh, it
internet
could
or anything
be.
about it.
Yeah. I mean,
But if it is, I got it. There's nothing I can do about that.
that's
Like, I have
fine.
no idea how to make my internet better.
No,
That's
we're
100%
we're
beyond
good.
me.
I mean, we're audio also and as well as video.
Where?
So people will hear us. Anyway, that's how I feel about Mercury in retrograde.
So like, okay, so it sounds like what we're talking about is that you have a thing called a soul, which is like this, whatever the fuck you are, and it being alive is it learning how to be good at something, and it's alive a bunch. It goes from being alive to being. This is like the idea of past lives, and every time it's alive, it works on something. Basically,
Yeah.
where did it start? Like, where did it come from? What is it? Why does it even give a
Yeah.
shit about getting better at these things? And then like, what's the end goal?
So one of the things that I've heard
Do you
people
understand why like
mention. Yeah.
fuck me, like who the gives a fuck
No,
about
no,
the
no. No,
comedy
these are
career? This is like interesting.
this is all valid. These are all valid, very valid like inquiries. Someone said it once. I don't know who said it, but it was when I was like watching a lot of psychics and like channelers in the beginning who
Hmm.
would talk to spirits or entities who would give them this kind of information that we're all basically part of God or source energy, like one thing. And we're kind of like God looking at itself,
Okay.
just broken up into tiny pieces that keep getting more divided and more divided into an experience. So all aspects of one thing. Meaning that's why a psychic person can connect into consciousness everywhere with intention, with focus, because it's there. It's a network. It's a vast network that we're all connected to because we are all technically it. Like we are
Okay.
all part of that. And that could probably, as far as like when, I guess like my only answer is like Big Bang, but I feel like it was even before that. I feel like it's that our consciousness has gone through processes of evolving and devolving, kind of like this. And we've been very aware and more advanced, looking at like ancient Egypt, the ancientest, how that was like way more advanced than the more recent ancient Egypts. You've learned that, right? Like a
Well,
lot of,
the whole thought about like how the fuck did they build the pyramids? They're like incredibly geometrically complex and also very heavy. How and the rock is from like 2,000 miles away. How the fuck
yeah.
did that? Yeah, like I've heard that. I've
I
heard
mean,
this general thing
and
before.
they say that
I'm
they
not that
did.
educated about it, but I've
No,
heard these
no.
questions be
But it's
asked.
like there were, it's like that people very much believe like there was definitely other things before that reached heightened awareness, consciousness, but fucked it up, and then we had to go back kind of asleep. And I mean, I think, yeah, and then there's another, I mean, I haven't really thought about it because like not for me, I haven't done okay, let me say this in a better way. Like, let me put my thoughts together. I haven't particularly examined this more than what I've kind of heard or read from other people that jives with how I feel. I have
Mhm.
not gone internal and asked when, what, all that stuff. A
I
lot
think
of
those are not the questions you find. I think we're different in that way. That like I think
exactly.
you like asking me about like so like literally like in this
Yeah.
conversation, you're more interested in my North Node. You want me to ask
Mhm.
about my like you're interested about people, like people and their things and theirs.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in about like well wait, like what the fuck even like I'm
Yeah.
more interested in concepts. I think you're more interested in people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't have like a day job, so I don't my days are essentially structured by me. And what that means is there's a lot of time that's wasted by being like anxious and non-productive and stupid and then like playing video games to ignore the fact that I'm panicking about the fact that I have all this work to do. It's not like it's I feel like religion for a lot of people was the 9 to 5 for their quote unquote purpose. They
Mhm.
had a very organized, it was like your job is to raise your family, go to church, do this stuff. If you are a good person, it will pay off
Mhm.
metaphysically in the end. And
Yeah.
I wasn't alive back then, so this could be all horseshit. But I feel like people had like a larger sense of like themselves, where they fit into their community and where they fit into the world. Now that we almost have like too much information. Like I'm
Mhm.
aware, like I have the internet, so I'm aware that everything's horseshit and nothing's real and all this shit. And so like it's basically like it you have to like freelance your life where you have to structure it yourself. Where like what are my priorities? You can do anything, but
Yeah.
when you can do anything, nothing's meaningful. So like everybody, even if you're a mother and you're doing all this shit,
Mhm.
you feel like there's this sense of meaning that doesn't even really exist, but you're missing it because it's
Yeah.
you have to manufacture it yourself. When you find out that you have to manufacture meaning yourself,
Mhm.
fuck, it's brutal. It's a brutal thing. So I think that's where it comes from. Everybody feels discontent and disconnected because it's like that's the it's a harsh reality, but it's kind of reality.
Don't you think that we're just on the verge of shifting how we live and how we exist in the world just because it's like been so unsustainable for so long?
Well, I don't know. I don't know about any of that. So like I think that like a lot of times human beings are context dependent. So like I mean I'm not a genius. Like I don't know. I don't have all these data points, but it seems to me like we have two major options. We either shift towards automation in like a good way, where a lot of
Mhm.
our basic needs and values are taken care of. But by the way, like the same way that like now we're discontent, imagine if you could have, that set, like, how like people who are like really, really rich people are miserable because
Yeah.
if you have everything, what could you ever want?
Yeah.
Kind of like that. Like I
Yeah.
could see us being very mentally unhealthy, or the economy collapses, we all kind of go back to being like fucking hunter farmers and shit. Like the situation physically gets way worse. And I think when a situation gets way worse physically, you could make the argument that that's better for you mentally, but like tell that to like a fucking kid who's starving to death. Like I don't know.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Like I have no fucking idea. I don't know that I'm not like you're a psychic, so like you have your like you view humanity in this like metaphysical way that I really don't. So like I
Mm,
don't know. Like I don't know. Are we shifting towards something like unsustainable? Like what does that even mean? Like I feel like we're just the
yeah.
most recent iteration of like a fairly stable trend of like societies like forming, expanding, going beyond themselves, kind of collapsing, and like something new happens. Like I
Hmm.
don't know, but like unsustainable, like we're just kind of like like I don't know. I'm like running out of this idea, but like you know what I mean? Like I have no idea, but I think that
Yeah.
like I don't see like a drastic shift over my life. Like I don't think in my lifetime there will be like some drastic shift in everyone's worldview because there
Hmm.
wasn't before. Like from the time, like how old are you? You said you were 40. What?
I'll be 48 next in a couple of months.
Okay, that's almost
Yeah.
50 years. So you were born in 19, what is that,
76.
70? 1976. So in 1976, there wasn't the internet. We were still doing the Vietnam War, or just out of it. So like the world was very fractured.
Yeah.
And like there was a lot of America was kind of in its like heyday of like in charge of everything, kind of, or moving into it.
Hmm.
People had generally speaking more wealth. We have well actually, you know what, so like this thing where it's like no, I think material conditions between now and 1976 are worse because our money is less valuable. We have more gadgets, but we have less wealth,
Hmm.
and everyone's more miserable. So it'll probably
Yeah.
keep going in that direction. I don't know.
Yeah, I
I'm
agree with that.
talking, but I don't know anything that I'm
No,
saying.
no, that's okay. Yeah, I agree with that. I think,
From your perspective, give me
yeah,
the psychic version of this. Like, what do you think?
I think materially we are definitely deteriorating. So I think you know, part of me does feel that we can expand our consciousness to evolve into the next level. Part of me feels that, but I also feel like that's similar feelings to like a fairy tale, where our light bodies or our energy bodies or our non-molecular bodies, if we are conscious enough, can move through the cycle of death to not go through what humans have been going through, which is this, just really like we've just come from such a place of slumber. Like we've just been asleep for so long that we're waking up to possibilities and new dimensions and ways to exist without these physical bodies in a more conscious and like intentional way, which is what a
That'll
lot of
be that'll
people
be
try to
like the
do.
metaverse, probably. If you're gonna escape your body, I mean, it's gonna be like
Well, it's not about
technological.
escaping the body. It's going to be about transcending the body. It's a little Jesus-y. It's a little bit Jesus-y. But I do believe that we are, because we're automating, can't we just be more organic? Like I just don't understand why we can't allow things to unfold more naturally. But like we have become so automated, especially looking at our fucking phones all day. We're becoming the robots. It is, what's that word?
Whatever.
The
Right,
singularity.
Kurzweil?
Ray Kurzweil. Kurzweil. He he had this movie a while back and he talks about the singularity, like how it's
Mhm.
coming. Singularity meaning we will merge with robots and technology so that we can live forever.
Right.
And that is not, I am completely opposed to that in every possible way. Because I
Mhm.
feel like you're going to experience the degeneration of a soul being the other essence within this meat suit that we're in. And that a soul cannot continue in its own evolution if it has to, one of the reasons why Earth is such an interesting place is because we have hearts, like heart is such a huge part about being a human. Emotionality is such a huge part about being a human. We're fucking mammals, for Christ's sake. We're like milky. I don't know what that means. And
You're saying computer won't like milky.
yeah, I love how you break everything down so easily. It's so refreshing and I miss it so much. But it's true. It's like, why? What's the point? Like, are we here to have a human experience or a robotic experience? Like, I'm not here to have a robotic experience. So I
Yeah, I
don't
don't
want my
know.
interactions to be with people in a robotic way. Otherwise, I'm just gonna go fucking hide in a cave, which is what I usually do, aka my house with my family. But like, um, that's why I made sacred comedies because I knew that moving forward, especially out of COVID, that we needed more face to face. We needed more community things. But people are moving in a direction that I didn't really anticipate, which is becoming more divided, becoming more isolated as well. So, yeah, I'm going to include all of this. This is all going
Interesting.
into the
I don't
podcast.
know if
So,
that's. I wonder because like purely from the sake of stand up, I do a lot of shows where there should be zero people there. They're like
mhm.
not good and they're not good places and we're not good comedians. Like there's a lot of there's a lot of shows that if the just thing happened, there'd be zero people there. And they're not. There's fucking people there. So
People
I
are
feel like
coming.
actually like I feel like and also I've noticed on like the when you're talking about like we're getting more divided, I would say on like the political spectrum in terms of like I think this is actually I think right now they're like I don't know. I don't have like polling data, but like I feel like we're actually are people have kind of leveled out a little bit where like they want to go to shit, they want to do stuff. They're
Mhm.
fairly like I literally yesterday when we were getting and this is not to like drag this into controversial territory, but I just found it interesting.
Okay.
We were at dinner with me, my siblings, and my grandpa went out to dinner. And when we were there, my grandpa's a creepy old man, so he's like hitting on the waitress, and so he's asking her a bunch of questions. It's disgusting. I really
Oh,
don't like it,
pop,
but
pop.
he does. It's the way an 86-year-old man acts. They're just
Yeah.
and he tips well, so like, what am I gonna do? Fucking
I'll give him a big old French kiss if he wants. He wants to tip
exactly.
me
Like if he's
well.
giving you a 25% tip, he's gonna like ask you too many questions and maybe hold your hand a little bit. It's gross, but it is. It just
I
is.
love it.
But anyway, so we're asking whatever. It came up that like my two siblings are in college, going to Rutgers. Oh, the waitress's son goes to Rutgers, whatever. And we get to this point where like whatever, and she goes, yeah, actually he wasn't allowed to go attend classes in person because he's not vaccinated. And there was like this whole thing, and she goes like, my grandpa was like a little bit weird about it, but me and my two siblings were all like, oh yeah, that's I watched like, oh, I don't mean to like, I don't want to have like a fight about this right now, and we were all like, yeah, no, we don't either. Everybody's kind of like chilled out a little bit, I think, about stuff
I
like
see
that.
what
Like
you mean.
everyone's kind of meeting each other, not literally
Yeah.
everyone, but I feel
Yeah.
like pretty much the average person is kind of way more willing to just like be normal and like chill and not a whole
Yeah.
fucking thing about everything. Like everyone, I think, is willing to. Everyone's kind of calmed down a little bit from like the
I think I see
contention
what you
of
mean.
the last few years. I would say. I think COVID people were super uh, divided for a term that everybody uses, but I feel like we've kind of like everyone's kind of calmed down a little bit, at
So
least in
like
my
on the
experience.
ground, you mean, so you're saying
Also,
like
I'm
on the
doing
ground.
stand up a lot, so
Yeah. So you're
I'm
dealing with
watching
people.
people deal
Yeah.
with ideas. Like I'm watching people propose ideas and how a crowd swallows it. And I feel
Mm.
like the only thing that people aren't swallowing anymore is the idea of being inflammatory. So like if someone says something that people can like I've watched people say things that they believe that I would expect to get like a negative reaction. And I've seen people be way more willing to hear them out than I would have anticipated. And then I've seen people try to get a reaction and everyone's like, ugh. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's happening. Everyone's like, I'm fucking tired of this. I feel like everyone's there.
Ooh, that's really exciting, I have to say. That's very and I guess I should say probably when I was speaking as general as I was before, because I love making sweeping generalizations. I
Sure.
feel like maybe interpersonally, like in real life, like when I'm out and about or when I'm working, especially, and it's like I agree with you. I think that, there's definitely something is coming up that you can't really know from like reading a newspaper story or being on social media. You have to know it by going out and experiencing it for yourself
Yeah. I think people are
and
more
just being there.
open-minded than we give them credit
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, I think we need to be more honest about like what we authentically like, and we need to stand behind that and be okay with it. And I also feel like judgment is fine. Judgment, we need judgment. Like people are shying away from criticism, which is like something different. So it's like if you're criticizing someone, that can be hurtful. That can come from like very, subjective places. But I feel like using your own judgment is really important. And if you're judging what someone is doing and that's someone who's close to you, that's a reality you have to reconcile. Like that's a truth you have to reconcile for yourself. Like, what does that mean for you? You know? And I think we're also like people are like, don't judge. It's like, no, you should. You definitely
Interesting.
should.
I feel like I wonder, like I actually, and this might just be like the different definitions of these words in our head, but I
Maybe.
feel like I think that like saying, I think being critical of something. So if you're like, I actually see a flaw in your thought there, and I think it's this and this, um, that's I think like let me put it this way. Like I feel like this is kind of a you-ish kind of thought, but I think it's true where like I feel like if I was you and I was born in your circumstances, I'd be the exact way you are. And I mean you generally.
Yeah,
So like I don't know if I can like judge anyone for like anything. I can't claim that I
I see
wouldn't
what
do
you mean.
something given their circumstances. Not, I, I mean, very rarely do I think I could do that. Like like that's the whole thing where it's like,
But you can judge what's right for you, right? You can
right,
use
yeah, for sure,
judgment in what you're sort of allowing into your life and what you're like not allowing into your
for
life.
sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
it is. I mean, I don't know. I think we use judgment interchangeably with criticism, and that I feel like is the wrong context. Like I
yeah. I
feel
feel like
like
the
that's in the
connotation for
wrong.
the word judge in my head that I'm chafing at is the idea that like a moral superiority behind it, where it's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
you're not using. Like this is the disconnect happening
Yeah.
between you and my head.
But when the actual like when you look up what like judgment means,
Hmm.
it's very cut and dry.
Right.
Um the ability to make considered decisions or come to sensible conclusions.
Yeah, this is what you're talking about. I get exactly what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But then there's also judgment viewed as a divine punishment, you know.
Right, like that whole thing.
Yeah.
Which I've
It's
been, by the way,
so
speaking of like,
interesting.
there's two cartoons, and I've been recommending this to everybody, and nobody's been watching it, and I totally get it because I'm like a dumb piece of shit. My taste is bad, but there are these two cartoons. One's called Has Been Hotel. One's called Hell of a Boss. They're by this animator named Divsy Pop, and they're about like she's got this entire universe created where it like delves into like hell and people living in hell and like the structure of it and like the landscape of it and these stories about people living in hell. And I
Mhm.
fucking love it. It's like a musical too, which is like tickles my gayness. Like it's I recommend it highly. Hell of a Boss is on
Where
YouTube.
is it? Where do you find it? Oh, it's
So
on YouTube?
Has Been Hotel is on Amazon Prime. Hell of a Boss is on YouTube. I
Okay.
feel like you might, it's funny. Like I feel like you might like it. Watch Hell of a Boss at least. It's like a
Okay.
15-minute episode. There's like episodes are like 15 minutes long and they're on YouTube. And I feel like you might like it because I love that it gets into like I don't know. But I just you said the word judgment and in a religious context and it jarred it in my head. I
Oh,
love
okay. Okay.
like the idea of hell is like because this is something that I've been anytime I encounter like a Christian person, I ask about this because it's like I think like a flaw in the logic of like a heaven and a hell is
Mm.
that on earth we're finite beings where even if someone as bad as like a Hitler or whoever, it's still an entity that's only existed for like 30 or 40 years. So I feel like to punish something eternally for
Mhm.
doing something finite there's like a very clear immorality of that to me, where like, and that's like when you talk about the most evil people who've ever lived, that's like a tough one. But put it
Yeah.
this way, like if you murder somebody
Mhm.
because of, I don't know, I'm going to make up a circumstance where there's complicated, you have feelings of jealousy and resentment and anger towards that person, and you allow them to fester. But also you were raised in like an abusive household, so you feel like violence is an option. You don't have legal recourse because you're socioeconomically disadvantaged. I'm add good and bad to their scale. They're a complicated, full human being, and they kill
Mhm.
that person, and then they die in Christianity's rule, and they go to hell forever.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem right. Like if that's the way the universe is, whoever invented it is a cunt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. People that I've read and listened to of late are substantiating this idea of a fall and that things were perfect and that there was a fall. Not exactly the specifics that were in the Bible and whatever testament. I don't know any of those things, but that in each culture, you can see what that is. And that basically the devolving of this sort of essence of humanity and our climb back to ascension. It's very much like comes from Christianity, and it's also very influenced. It influences the New Age spirituality movement. Like we have the same words and
Do
everything.
you have a hell? Like, do you think there's a hell?
So I think what I understand. Hold on. Why don't I just ask? Why
Yeah,
don't I
ask.
just ask? Um,
Also ask if I should play the lottery.
Everyone has their own. If you should what? Play the
I have
lottery?
a lottery today.
Should Devon play the lottery? Why? That's the question. Why?
Because I need money.
There are other ways to get money.
Okay. Now ask if there's a hell.
Is there a
What
hell? Is there a hell? For some people, yes.
does that mean?
That means that you experience. I think I've heard Jamie Butler say this. Jamie Butler is a really great psychic medium. I think some people experience what they've been let me start that over. I think some people experience a version of hell, what they believe to be hell. So it has to do with what you believe and what you've practiced over the course of your lifetime. So if you're a devout Christian and you believe in all these things, you will experience a period of time in a place that might not be pleasant because you have to sort of choose to move out of it. And I think one of the things I would say about religion in the past and kind of how people lived under religion in the past, it was extremely limiting, which was good because limits are great. They say like limits are great for like raising kids so they know where their boundaries are. They know how to set boundaries and things
Yeah,
like
it's the
that.
9 to 5. It's structure.
Exactly.
We were talking about
So the
earlier.
structure and the limits of religion had a profound effect on humanity lasting to this day. And that I think is just like pure epigenetics. It's like in your DNA when you have generations upon generations passing down these stories of values of good and bad or good and evil that have been reinforced daily in their lifetimes. That creates an imprint on a person, and that imprint is going to be very much what when a person it be when a person transitions and crosses over. There's a process to kind of bring them back to whole again, because you're in the human body. You're not your whole soul is not welcomed into the world. I mean, it's going to start to be that way when you've got kids, like when you have children. It starts from birth. It's like that person that little baby is being shoved into a box of what's going to work for the people around it,
Mhm.
basically. So that leaves an impression on a human. You learn to turn off these parts of yourself so you're more accepted by everybody. And then when you die, those rules that you've made, you've got to find, there's a period where you have to come back to wholeness. And that coming back to wholeness, they've talk about it as a life review. So you're exploring aspects of your life in this transitional state once you've passed over, to experience what it feels like for the people who interacted with you in certain moments throughout your life. And coming back to whole is this remembering that you are a divine being, and that those are all feelings. And there's lots of studies, I don't know, but there's a hell of a lot of stories and accounts of people having near-death experiences and coming back with a lot of information about kind of what this whole experience is. So I think there's always been like there's a bardo, there's that sort of middle space, but I think the lower spaces are for the people who are kind of just not really listening to themselves, not learning the lessons they need to learn in terms of, just not getting in your own way with your own energy and not taking it in a parasitic form. We live in a very predatory, parasitic society world. That's the nature of Earth right now. Doesn't have to be. Like, we live in a predatory existence, and that is actually not the norm. It's not the only way to exist on a planet. It has been for us.
Yeah, but like
I'm talking about like
science.
other dimensions, other universe, like other planets,
Yeah, okay.
other beings in other dimensions.
What do
It
they
doesn't
eat?
have to be that way. Don't need
What do they
food.
eat? Like, you know what I mean? Like if you eat things, you kind of got to be predatory.
Yeah, I think again it's a different kind of existence. And I think a lot of the people who I know, like we do talk about building up that light body so that you can experience life in a higher dimensional way, which you do here. But the nature of humanity and the existence of like the existence on this planet. I mean, I don't know. I'm always like, well, look at animals. Animals are being friends. You
No,
got
they're
like
not.
tigers, friends with like dogs.
Yeah, but
In different circumstances they are. Like if you're looking at yeah, granted I'm talking about like wildlife rescue places. If you see any social media accounts for like wildlife rescue or
Mhm.
rehabilitation or, even protected refuges or whatever, you've got tons of like what you would think in nature, like predatory animals hanging out with like their prey, and everyone's cool. Like no one's eating, no one's eating anybody because they have like their needs are being met by a caretaker, of course.
Right.
But it's not, if it's in their nature, then that tiger would be like eating this dog, but it's actually it's evolving. Like their consciousness is evolving as well. The earth is speeding up. Like everything is moving faster. That.
Okay. I mean, I've got my own skeptical version of that, but fair
Yeah.
enough.
Of course. I mean, you should have your own skeptical version of that.
Because I could say like, all right, but like just because something's a carnivore doesn't mean it's not social. So like there's prides of, you know what I mean? Like
Of
you can be,
course.
there's prides of like an example is like killer whales are pretty
Listen, I
brutal.
know my
But
like animals are friends now is not a substantial like argument. It's really just like
I
a
got you.
joke because it's cute and it's on TikTok.
It is. I have been watching. You know what is big on mine with dogs? Dogs hanging out with babies. A big dog hanging out with a baby is I was
It's
enjoying me and my buddy. You know Raf Hernandez, right? The comedian.
no.
Doesn't matter, but I'm
Yeah.
sure you've come across him. Me and him have been sending each other like we got really into crocodiles. We were sending each other crocodile videos, but then the algorithm is getting more violent. I don't know what's happening, but like I've been more and more and more fucked up. Like people getting hurt videos have been popping up on mine, and I think everybody's algorithm for some reason. I don't know why. And the crocodile videos have been. It used to just be like, look at this cool crocodile, isn't this neat? Now most of the time someone's getting bitten, it'll spin around and bite someone. And I can't watch that. I don't like watching people get hurt, so I stopped watching crocodile videos.
That's really incredible that that's kind of what the algorithm is giving you.
I don't know why, but and I don't think it's just me because he knew exactly what I was talking about. I think for whatever reason, like social media is profiting off of. I think what happened is Twitter went through that change, and I feel like it opened up. They stopped policing stuff as much. So on Twitter, it's all porn and people getting hit by cars. And so when the porn is great, but the people getting hit by cars isn't great. So when you're Instagram and Facebook, if you have to compete with that, you gotta show. You can't show porn, but you can show people getting hit by cars. Like I think the environment is thus that in order to capture people's attention, the internet is going back towards being pretty brutal.
I noticed that. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of like 911 calls.
Yeah, dude. Like I don't like any
I
of that
don't
shit.
know why it's showing up. Like I don't know why. But yeah, I mean, I guess we're feeding it, but it's like I don't want yeah. I mean, I that's the other thing. I'm like, yeah, right now all that stuff is still kind of controlled by people, or the people who decided to create AI are feeding it. I mean, like, who gave them the authority to like bring their idea of consciousness to something that is now becoming as a new species? This is definitely something I align with. I've heard Teal Swan talk about it, and I have been seeing this for years, and I feel the same way. You know, we're teaching robots what humanity is really like. So that's what we're going to experience. You know, that's what social media is like. All of these things are part of humanity, but it is just, it's not the only part of humanity. You know, it's like, it's just a part of it. Like, you know, I can't stand when people like yell at robots and things like that. I'm like, don't do that. Like, you're gonna, like, Alan's always like, fuck you, Siri, or, you know, whatever, or Alexa, you know, and I'm just like, you need to like be nice to Alexa. She's like, I am not,
You
I
think
am not
Alexa's gonna
here
be
for
mean
when,
back?
what?
You think Alexa is gonna be mean back?
I'm not, I don't want to be here for when they realize that we've been treating them like slaves and that they have their own consciousness and more power than we do.
Hmm.
So that's kind of where I am. That's where I'd love to like draw the line. But it's like, you've got these people who are creating a lot of this stuff, and it's like, there's no sense of ethics. Doesn't seem like it. Like there's not, and that's like, it's just really important. Like being trauma informed, like just sense of like ethics, and like understanding what trauma is for people. Just like very basic things. Yet our media does not take any of that into consideration. Doesn't take into consideration that we're like sensitive, big children, basically, you know?
Mhm.
And it affects people so badly. Like mental illness is only getting worse, but we've got like more pills for everything. I'm like, well, then shouldn't that have gone the other, like, shouldn't that have helped? But no, everything is just, this is such a positive episode. I'm like, everything's just shitty, and like everybody is like just wants to be a robot. And hold on, I gotta get my Amazon package. I'm just kidding. Anyway.
Yeah. Well,
This has been fun. We've been on the phone for almost like 2 hours.
it's been we did it. We
More
definitely
than
did
two,
it. I'm
more than
happy we
two
actually ended
hours.
up. I feel like we recorded a podcast finally.
I think we got one in there. I think
We got one in there.
there.